Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Exciting stuff here. First of all, oh, it's not on the thing. Hold on. This is Marty Dauber. Huh? You got it?
Good morning, Rabbi Sai.
Dr. Dauber, my good chaver from Lincolnwood. You are invited to a live share in Manchester. The Manchester Olam is still going stark. I don't know how many people they signed up, but a lot, many. So they're doing this live share. Anybody want to do a live share anywhere, we will push it. We will market it for you. We'll get it out there. I got this picture this morning. This is the first siyum ever in Manchester to the left. And this is our siyum that we just had on Masechet Ksubos on the right. A year and a half difference. Oh, so this one we're not going to show. Here, take that off. So let me just explain real quickly. Last night, my kids surprised me and my wife. We're different ages. She's 30, I'm turning 50. Not mamish, don't write me, but what's important is my age, 50. And my kids did a surprise birthday party for us. It happens to be that my son Akiva is in from Los Angeles because we're doing Achnas Sefer Torah tonight. Myself and my brother-in-laws, we wrote a Sefer Torah for my shver, so he flew in and he flew everybody, and every single anical had to come to this thing, including my son. So Baruch Hashem, my whole family was there. My brother and my sister-in-law flew in special for this birthday party last night, and my wife's best friend flew in. So during it, my son, my bchar, did grammar. So I just want to share with you two lines that have to do with MDY. It happens to be that my son, the bchar, is bald as can be, and this is bald is beautiful. Here, listen to this line. It might have. Huh?
So many miles to mention, I can't even think of another. No, relax. We're not talking about you. We're talking about our mother. Yeah, we get it. You're 50 and you have a full head of hair. Well, you're not even the best looking rocket ship.
He's roasting me.
That's fake news.
Okay. Now here's another one. One more that what he's saying is, if you can't understand, he's saying Duchen, the Kohen Gadol. That's the last line. Here we go.
All the gifts and all the words will make you feel good. License plates and followers made of wood. Custom mugs and 8-minute clocks. Daddy's only happy if the Kohen Gadol doesn't with MDY socks.
Duchening with MDY socks. He doesn't go, obviously he doesn't go, huh? Yeah. Nachman Seltzer, the head of the choir. Man, voice choir.
I didn't know Aaron has such a good voice.
Me either. Good evening, Reb Eli. I don't think the Kohen Gadol duchens with socks, period. He doesn't go to the, he doesn't, yes. Gotta be barefoot. Good evening, Reb Eli and crew. Tuesday night was a rough night for me. For some reason, I woke up at 1:30. This is Avi Mandelbaum. I couldn't fall back asleep. It made Wednesday a very rough day for me. I tried a nap in the morning. I was really down in the dumps. Around 2 p.m., Steve Rappaport arrived at my house with two of his sons. They visited me for about 45 minutes. I cannot tell you how much they lifted my spirits, made me feel better, improved my attitude. I want to thank them publicly and thank you, as that you shared the entire Wednesday would have been depressing instead of uplifting. Avi. Rabbi Isai, the Koilel is sponsored Lili Nishmas Chaim Bas Yosef, the Masechta, Zgula, Ketora, Tומכיה, כיעקב, ויעל. The Paras HaChodesh, Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Paras HaChodesh, Zefrazin, zchus my son Yosef, Simcha, Chaim ben Torah, Chana, Refuah Shlaima, Amen. By Dr. Avrum Epstein, in memory of my dear departed loved ones, included in my recent Yontav yizkors. Lili Nishmas, Moran, Agoin, Reb Eli Menachem, Man, Shach, zechus levracha. Yours is today, and nobody sponsored the Chazanish. Yours said yesterday. Yeah. When was it? Okay. In honor of Eli Dykman's baby girl, Mazel Tov Eli. Rabbi say only in brand new Mishnah, brand new Masechta Nedarim, Perek Sheni. Tes Vav Amud Beis on the bottom. Yes. Yes, sir. You got to learn how to do it yourself, but I'll do it until you learn. I'm kidding. Okay. Oh. Huh?
Yeah, you said.
Where was this guy? He just said today's Rav Shach's yard side and Rav Shalom Kalabach's yard side. Avi Fakti, Shkoyach, thank you. Shkoyach. Shvuah she'eni yoshin. If you pay attention, last Mishnah we had koinam sha'ani yoshin, and the Ran on the spot says it's not with Eini, it's ani. It's a very similar word. It fits right into the Masechta. The difference we're going to have where people confuse words or say things slightly different, but over here it's Eini, I will not sleep. Now, as the Gemara is going to explain, by the way, Lilu Nishmas, Sipar Fega, Bas, Reb Tuvia, zchus Levracha. The Gemara is going to explain, the Mishnah is going according to Reb Meir. Remember we had a Machlokes, Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. One of the Machlokes is Reb Meir does not say Michlal Lavat Hashemei. Hey, you don't infer anything. It has to be as is. Shvuah she'eni yoshin. I will not sleep. And we also explained that a shvuah doesn't have to be on something tangible. It could be on something not physical, like sleep. So this should work. She'eni medaber. I'm swearing that I won't talk. She'eni mahalach. I won't walk. Asur. Great, because the Gavra is swearing, it's on himself, he won't talk, he won't sleep. It's not on a chayfetz, it's not on something tangible or not tangible, that's a neder. Shvuah is the Gavra, the person himself, asks something on himself. Now, what I noticed is, I didn't see anybody speaking about it, and I don't think it's that important. It just seems like whoever split up the Mishnah, I'm not sure if it's that woman in Vilna who made the Shas, split it up, seems like not the best way in the world. Because if you look in the Mishnayos, the Mishnah is completely different. This is a new Mishnah here. This little part should have been part of the last Mishnah. And as you see from the Gemara even calls it the end of the last Mishnah. And over here, Karban loy oichalach goes together with the following Mishnah and the Mishnah after that. Zechus all the way on the bottom of Amud Aleph, the Zayin Amud Aleph, is the, and it's in, if you look in the Mishnayos, I didn't know how to read it. I went into the Mishnah and lo and behold, it's there, it's in the right way, I think. This, I don't understand why she did it or whoever did it this way. Okay. At any rate, we're starting a new Mishnah here. Karban loy oichal lecha. This is a neder. Okay. Fine. For the picture, you guys both that way. Shkoyach. Karban loy oichal lach lecha. So, what's going on here? What is he saying? So, karban, it could be in the life of a karban. So, there is no life of the karban when it comes to Nedarim like this. It's in the chaye karban. Or, so it's complete stupidity what he's saying. It's nothing. What he said is, it doesn't mean anything. Or, karban loy oichal lecha. So, whatever the karban I won't eat of yours, but anything else I will eat. Okay, so again, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a neder. Now, what if he says ha karban she'oichal lecha? Ha karban. What does ha karban mean? Ha karban means b'chaye karban. The best that I could understand is that it was like an American. He was trying to say Chanukah and it came a Hanukkah. Ha. Instead of Haye, Chaye, he said Haye. I don't know, something like that. As I is, hey, ha karban, shoychal lecha. Or he said, loy karban, loy yoichal lecha. What's the opposite of loy karban, loy yoichal lecha? Yes, a karban, that which I should eat for you. But that's only if you infer from it. Only if you're inferring. If you're going to do the reverse of what he says not a karban I won't eat. So the opposite of that is yes, a karban that which I will eat, meaning it's aser. Too bad. According to the mayor, you don't go backwards. You don't go reverse. You don't reverse what he's saying. So loy karban loy oichal lecha again is not a neder. It's mutter. Okay, Adkan. Before I go weiter, I just want to say Shalom Aleichem to the few guests I noticed. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? From Manchester. Were you there? I met you and everything.
He was here also at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, hold on. A boy sign. Don't worry about it. You have a Gemara for him? Schwer. Kommt rein, the Schwer is here.
Sit next to you in the front.
Huh? Right over here. Empty seat.
I can put him next to you at the front.
I thought he might be going.
Right next to you, like that.
I did your grandson's Grauman. Not all of them, but only the ones that were appropriate. Which, even that, they. Okay, when was the last time you heard that? Well, you had a real share, like during the week? You were during the week? Okay. So I don't have to explain what's going on here. Okay. Shver, tonight, Be'ez Hashem, we're doing Achnos Sefer Torah for him. It's a big Simcha. The ganze Mishpacha is here. And Shver is a big Talmud Chacham, as you all know, gives Daf Yomi shir. And an Eon shir on Shabbos. Vi'al. Okay. Mani Masnisen. So according to Reb Meir, when somebody says the word carbon, making a neder carbon. So he's saying that this should be asur like a carbon. When he says ha-carbon means in the life of a carbon, b'chai carbon. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah goes according to Reb Meir, top of Tazayin Amud Aleph, Di Reb Yehuda leishanile carbon leishanile ha-carbon. According to Reb Yehuda, as we saw, you have to stick in that cuff. Kick carbon. Ha-carbon doesn't do anything. Yerushalayim is nothing. You have to say ki Yerushalayim. So ha-carbon is nothing, and ha-carbon is nothing. Eima Seifa. So if our Mishnah goes according to Reb Meir, it says la karban oicha lecha. By the way, I got to show you this. This Menachem Ateh sent me. Here's a guy is putting out these cartoons. You see them? It says loy karban mashini loy oichal ma loy oichal shelcha, and the guy is Yam Kafla. He's like, huh? That's basically the sugyas we're learning. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. And here's Shvur She'eni Medaber. He comes into Bezdin. It says Kabbalat Kahal Machleket Hataras Nedarim. And he goes, And he's like, what is he saying? Machar, Lamala, Okay, fine. Givaldik. Says the Gemara. Be'ez Hashem will have our own artist. You like it. Right. You like it, Ari chaft it. Okay, nobody else chaft. He comes in.
To write it down on a piece of paper.
I have to explain what you said with this. Better than? You don't even chaft that one. That you're talking to chaft. You're slow. Well, I'll explain to you afterwards. Eima Seifa. Look, you know what? Avi, send him the clip. He did. Okay, now you understand it? Oh, that was better. That was the pshat. Eima Seifa, la karban like oichalacha mutter. It says, la karban loy oichalacha, right? We said it's a double negative. Vosnan, la karban loy oichalacha Reb Meir oiser. We have a very big problem. If our Mishnah is going according to Reb Meir, it says mefurish in the Mishnah that we learned that if these exact words in our Mishnah, la karban loy oichalach, Reb Meir says it's aser. And our Mishnah says mutter. So how could the same exact words be Reb Meir saying over here mutter, and a few daf ago it's aser? Remember, we had this at least 3-4 times. Rav says, the way he says it, he says, likarbon, lamed kuf reish beis nun. Here, you see in the chart, it says likarbon. So instead of la carbon, we read it likarbon. He means, instead of not, la would be loy carbon, not a carbon. It's the opposite. It's likarbon, to a carbon. So what do we do? So by us also, la carbon means to a carbon. Should be aser. Loy kasha. Ha the omar la carbon. Ha the omar loy le carbon. So in the chart you see, If he says likarbon, so now I could translate the lamed, I could put whatever I want on the lamed. Put a patach, I could put a shva. Maybe that's what he meant, maybe that's what he said. Great. That's great if he did likarbon. But if he separated it and made it into two words, there's no way you could translate it into the red. Likarbon, it has to be blue. La, it has to be loy carbon. There's no, how are you going to translate loy into ken, into yes? If it's likarbon, so maybe he didn't say la, he said les. It's similar. But loy carbon, two words, there's no way to get out of it. Obviously, he meant no carbon and no carbon mutter. It's not a neder. Lo have a carbon kamar. Fine. Now, if, right, and that's what we explained in the Mishnah. If it's loy carbon, just to finish it off, if it's loy carbon, so the only way to explain his words is we have to do a michlal lav at the shemei hein. What he meant to say is, if it's not a carbon, it will be aser. And that Remeir doesn't do. Remeir doesn't do michlal lav at the shemei hein. Says the Mishnah. Official Mishnah sponsored Nishmas Sipar Fega Bas Reb Tuvia Zechrono Levracha. Shvua loy oicha lecha. So now you see, there's a continuation here. If this is one Mishnah, it starts carbon loy oicha lecha, and now it's saying shvua loy oicha lecha. So you see the contrast. Before we're talking about a neder, right? The end of last Mishnah. This is actually that I was just explaining to them that whoever split this up didn't split it up correctly. I hope. The last two lines in the last Mishnah on Amud Beis should be as in the Mishnayos. If you pull out the Mishnayos, so you'll see they go together. Carbon lo yochel is talking about a neder, and then we go into shvua. Shvua lo yochel, and then the following Mishnah says zech Chaim b'shvua is min nedarim. These two things, you see that a shvua is more common than a neder. But anyway, shvua lo yochel. I make a shvua, I'm not going to eat your food. So it's pretty obvious. I'm making a shvua, I'm not going to eat your food. Ha shvua shoicha lecha. Now, what does this mean? Rabbi said, we stop right over here. You don't peek in the Gemara. You don't look in any Ran. Pashat pshat. He says these words, 4 words. Ha shvua shoicha lecha. What does shoicha lecha mean? I'm making a shvua that what? That I'm going to eat your food. Is there any way to explain? Is there a way to explain it differently? That's not what the Gemara says. Ha shvua shoicha lecha means I won't eat your food. How in the world can we explain that? It's a lashon that what do you call it? The saginar. You're saying saginar. Lo shvua. That's not what we mean. Okay. Lo shvua lo yoicha lecha. Lo shvua, double negative, not a shvua. In other words, he's saying that there is. Okay, what is the words? No shvua, I'm not going to eat from you. In other words, there is a shvua if I do eat from you. So over here we have to do a reverse, right? And the halacha is aser. The shvua works. And the problem is, how do we do michlalav at the shemein? How do we all of a sudden we reverse it? Now in the double negative, obviously it doesn't mean no shvua, because no shvua is no shvua. There's nothing to talk about. So lo shvua means I'm not making, it's a no shvua if I don't eat, but it is a shvua if I do eat. Right? That's what he means. But Remeir holds you don't go backwards. You don't infer anything. But in shvua, Remeir holds you do michlal avet shemein, because the only time he says you don't say michlal avet shemein is by a neder that has mumminus, explains around. Anything that has mumminus, every neder has a little bit of monetary value. There's some sort of object that has monetary value. The Rosh says something else. Rosh says because shvua is mochamer. Okay, there was in yeshiva once. I went over to one of the big masmidim, one of these, I went over to Mil Seder. So he says, "Lo yoichalach, I don't want to eat with you. I don't want to eat. Serious, I don't want to eat with you." Like, what do you mean? I don't want to eat with you? He says, "It states in Gemara that if you stop somebody in the middle of learning, he's going to give you. You have to eat coals. I don't want to eat with you. I don't want to eat with you. Get out of here. Okay, fine. Shvua lo yoichalach. I don't want to eat with you." Every yeshiva has one of those guys. Lo shvua lo yoichalach. Asur. Fine. Says the Gemara, Michlal dehei shvua shoichal lecha. So going back to that, what you guys said, in the middle of the Mishnah, ha shvua shoichal lecha, l'chayr seems like shvua that I'm going to eat your food. But it says asur. It works. It's a shvua. Michlal de ha shvua, if he says ha shvua shoichal lecha, de lo yachil no mashma. It means I'm not going to eat from you. No. Vermino shvua shtayim shehin arba. Here, so it says in the pasuk, "Oy nefesh kishishava levate b'sosayim lohara oy lehetiv." You make a shvua for the bad and for the good. What is for the bad and for the good? For the positive and the negative. It doesn't mean bad and good. It means lohara, I won't eat, and lehetiv, I will eat, and that's in the future. So you take those two and you double it. So the Torah only talks about the future, making a shvua in the future. Lahara lehetiv. If you double it, la'avar, in the past. I did eat or I didn't eat. It's two that are four. The bottom line is, if you look at either one, one of them is sha'oichel v'shaloi oichel. Sha'oichel v'shaloi oichel. I'm going to eat and I'm not going to eat. So, in other words, sha'oichel means I am going to eat. It can't mean I'm not going to eat because that's shaloi oichel. If I have a shaloi oichel, that means oichel means shaloi oichel means negative. Oichel means positive. So I can't translate oichel in our Mishnah to be a negative when it means a positive in that Gemara over there, in that Mishnah. Sha'ochalti v'shaloi ochalti. Midika amar shaloi oichel sha'ochalti v'shaloi ochalti. Or sha'oichel, you have to stick in the word. Sha'oichel v'shaloi oichel. Sha'ochalti v'shaloi ochalti. Michlal d'sha'oichel l'cha. D'ochel mashma. There's no way to get around it. If we're sticking in the words, I won't eat, so I will eat means I will eat, not I won't eat. Amar Abaya, sha'oichal shtil l'shonis mashma. So Abaya comes with a big chiddush. Just another corny thing. What does this have to do with this week's parasha? I'll say it again. Sha'oichal shtil l'shonis mashma. Because Avrum Epstein gave 3 lashonos. So it says mashma. It's Nedarim. The jokes are on a different level. It's a different lashon in Nedarim. The jokes are in a different lashon. Not the lashon. Hayu misarvin boilechol. Which, by the way, I noticed also the word misarvin also has 2 lashonos. Usually misarvin means to refuse. Over here it means they encouraged, they insisted. Misarvin over here means to insist.
Take no for an answer.
As you're saying, it's coming from the same lashon. Okay. Hoy misarvin. They insisted boilechol. They told so. So basically what Abai is saying is, you have one word, I'm going to eat. It could have 2 meanings depending on what came before it, depending on the context of the conversation. So if he was at somebody and they were forcing him to eat. They kept on saying, please eat, eat, eat. Almost like Avrum Avinu, by the way. Now I'm chapping. It is Avrum Avinu. Avrum Avinu did it to the Malachim. Come eat. What does it say in the pasuk? Where's that word about Kaira? Menachem. What does it say about Avrum Avinu asking the Malachim to eat? Vayiftzur bam? No. Does it say? It doesn't say that he begged them to eat?
No essence.
Vayiftzur? Does it say Vayiftzur? No, by Avrum Epstein. Okay, fine. It's in the Shani. Anybody want to look it up? They asked him, they begged him to eat. They pestered him. Don't worry, I'll eat. Visu, I promise you, not only that I'll eat, I'm swearing, Visu, shvu shoichal. So in this context, they asked him to eat, and he swears that he's going to eat. Of course, his shvu was that he will eat. But he says to them, I'm telling you, I'm not going to eat. Stop asking me, I'm not going to eat. Visu, and I'm swearing. So it's over here, different ways to explain it, but basically he's saying, I'm swearing that I won't eat. I'm telling you, I'm not eating. Swear about the food. I might ever eat. Okay, very good, Dad. Yeah. The Ran says it's like rhetorical question. Okay, whatever. Maybe that's on something else. There's a way to get out of it. If you speak Hebrew in those days, it made sense in a conversation. In that context, he meant to say, what did you say again? How did you say it? I might ever eat. Shvua sho'oichel. I might ever eat. I swear I might ever eat. In other words, I won't eat. Okay, very good. Rav Ashi Omar sho'oichel. Yeah. Now we're all in Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi Omar. Sho'oichel the shvua. What does it mean? She'i oichel ka'omar. So if you read it, it says in the Mishnah. Shvua sho'oichel. Says Rashi, no, that's not what it says. It says she'i. You have to stick in a yud. She'i oichel. What's pshat? So the Ran says on Amud Beis, because the whole Nedarim, that's how it works. Like it's not organized well. If you want to look for the Ran on Amud Aleph, a lot of times it's on Amud Beis. So over here it's on Amud Beis to explain this, and he says that he prolonged the Aleph. He said she'oichel. And it sounds like i'oichel. That's how the Ran learns it. That's why Reb Eli says that when you say echad, you shouldn't prolong it. You shouldn't say echad. You should do it normal, like regular people speak, because the problem is that when you say echad, you want to be mechaven, that Hashem is one, and then the mekayim mitzvahs haseh of Kriya Shema. You want to stick it all into one word, so people prolong it. He says you shouldn't, because it changes the word. Over here you see that if you prolong the word she'oichal, it's she'oichal. It's as if you're saying, I don't want to eat. He's not basing it on this, but it's that idea. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, it's over here, it almost seems like Himamish said, i'oichal. Came Shita. Remember, what's the chiddush? He said, I don't want to eat. Ma the same make him lishno didkele. He stumbled upon his words. He didn't mean to say that. He was saying something else. It came out. That's what you heard. Kamash malon. It's a good shvuah. Says Gemara, Abai doesn't like Rav Ashi. That's not what it says in the Mishnah. It doesn't say he prolonged it. It doesn't say he said e. It says sho'oichel. Finished. Rav Ashi, but we're already used to it in this Mishnah. There's a lot of this kind of, the gears is like this, is like that. Rav Ashi, nodim in tam d'Abai. Rav Ashi moved away from Abai's reason that what? That it depends on the context of the lashon. Sometimes it means yes, sometimes it means no. Because the same reasoning that you have, that the word oichel, depending if they pestered him this way or pestered him that way, so the same thing would be with shaloy oichel, depending how they pestered him. If somebody begged you to eat and you swore shaloy oichel, so it depends on what happened beforehand. So if shaloy oichel also has two meanings, so how come it's not in the Mishnah? How come we're only saying one word that has two meanings, and now I have two statements that have two meanings? The statement of Shloy Yochel also has two meanings, and you ignore it completely. The that what? They were insisting that he should eat. So we're not. The bottom line is, if he says, let's say the gear says lo yachilna. So he says, I'm not going to eat, and then he says, so so over here, if he said, I'm going to eat, so then he swore, that means he ate. If he said, I'm not going to eat, then he swore, he means he didn't want to eat. Okay. So the same word, could also go both ways. I don't know how whatever, we'll be mfarish. Lishna.
The expression, how he says it. You can say the same words, different tone.
Which one?
What, I'm not going to eat?
Okay, yeah. That's what I was saying before. That's what the Ran says. Am I going to, you think I'm swearing I'm not eating? I told you I am going to eat. Okay. Okay, so if that's the case, if I could say the word shloyecha means two things, so then how come it's not in the Mishnah? No. The bottom line says, Rav Ashi, I don't agree with Abaya. There's one way to understand the word, and that's how we would like to understand. Sha'oichel, when a person says, I will eat, he means da'achil mashma. I will eat. It doesn't mean I won't eat. It can never mean I won't eat, even if the context means that he won't eat. V'sha'lo'oichel, and when a person says, I'm not going to eat, lo yochel mashma. But in our Mishnah, that's why Rav Ashi has to say that in our Mishnah he didn't say sha'oichel, he says I. He doesn't say sha'oichel. She'i yoichel. That's why Rav Ashi has to say. He said a different word here. She'i yoichel. Zeh Chaim b'shvuos min Nedarim. We had this Mishnah a number of times, and like I said before, it's a continuation of the two things that we just said. We said Karban lo yoichel lecha is not a good neder, but shvua lo yoichel lecha is a good neder. Zeh Chaim b'shvuos min Nedarim. So sponsor shkoyach lilu nishma tzipor feiga bas Reb Tuvia zechrono levracha. Zeh Chaim b'shvuos min Nedarim. V'chaimer ben Nedarim b'shvuos. Ketzad. What's the difference between a shvua and a neder? The chumrah of a shvua over the chumrah of a neder, the shvua the neder over a shvua. Ketzad. Omar koinam sukkah shani oisa. I'm making a neder, then I won't make a sukkah. Now, Rabbi say from Masechta Sukkah, if a person builds a sukkah, what bracha does he make? No bracha. Who said that? Anybody say a bracha? Let's say he said a bracha. What bracha would it be? It's machloiges. Babli says Shechianu. Yerushalmi says Asher Yitzharim says Tzvonu Lasi Sukkah. Happens to be that we don't make a bracha on a sukkah, but there is a very big mitzvah to be oisig in a sukkah and building a sukkah. It's a lot better than just having a sukkah ready made for you. Could you be medayik from the Mishnah that? They say no. It says sukkah shani oisa. It really should say what he really meant is sukkah shani yoshev. That's the main point here. Some Sofer points out that it says in the pasuk, "B'sukkahs teishvu." The ikar mitzvah is to sit in the sukkah, not to build the sukkah. Obviously, it's a big mitzvah, but that's not what he meant over here. When he made a neder, he made a neder that he's not going to sit in the sukkah. Making a neder against a mitzvah. Lulav shani noital. He makes a neder. He's not going to shake a lulav. Tefillin shani miniach. He won't put on tefillin. Like the famous Maisa, the father begged his son when he was leaving, going to college. His father said, "Listen, but one thing, do me a favor, put on tefillin." Yeah, Dad, don't worry about it. Kids are, of course, like a month later, he calls up his father. He put on tefillin. Yeah. So, could you send me more money? I'll send you more money. He calls up a week later. No, where's the money? He says, I sent it to you. You didn't get it? No, I didn't get it. 2 weeks later, sent it to you. You didn't get it? No. Kids are finally, he starts screaming. What's going on? I'm asking nicely. It's already a month and I have nothing. He says, I told you, wear tefillin. If you wear tefillin, everything was good. And the money was in the tefillin. Put a bunch of cash in the tefillin. Tefillin shani miniach. I'm not going to put on tefillin. Nedarim asur. If he makes a neder that he won't put on tefillin, he can't put it on. B'shvuos mutter. But a shvu doesn't work. Why? Sheinish boim laver ala mitzvahs. When it comes to a shvua, you can't make a shvua not to be mekayim a mitzvah. So let me ask you a question. If you can't make a shvua not to be mekayim a mitzvah, so what happens if he makes a shvua not to put on tefillin? So it's nothing? Nothing. You think it's nothing. The Ran says he gets malchus. Because on Shvua Shav, he was over, but it doesn't work against a mitzvah. He still gets malchus. Says the Gemara, Daf Amud Beis, sponsored as zchus to continue being able to support Torah and finish Shas with the Reb Eli, Refuah Shlaima, Baruch ben Sar, Itta Yudis bas Mindil, Latzlachas ben Yom ben Itta Yudis. Now, if we go with that anacha, here, just put it. The Mishnah on Amud Beis says, Karban lo yoichalach, mutter. And on Amud Aleph it says, Shvua lo yoichalach, aser. And all in the bottom it says, Chaimer. Shvua is more chamer than a karban. You see? Shvua is more chamer than a karban. So the Gemara understood it's talking about this. If a person uses the lashon, karban, lo yoichalach, it's mutter. When it comes to neder, it's not a good neder. But when it comes to shvua, it's a good shvua. So therefore, what? Shvua is more chamer than a neder. Chaimer miklad neder. V'mutter katani. So the Gemara just asks like a technical question. You're saying that shvua is more chomer than a neder. When you say a neder, karban lo yochel, meaning it is a neder, it's a little bit of a neder, it's just a weak neder. No. If you say karban lo yochel, it's zero. It's not even a neder. So how could you say that shvua is more chomer than a neder? It's not a neder. Shvu is more chomer than a zero, not a neder. So the Gemara says, no, you're right. Aseifer de idach bava katani. It's not going on what's right before it, on the word korban lo yachalach. It's saying that shvu is more chomer than the other Mishnah. Shvu is she'eni yashin, she'eni medaber, she'eni mehalach, aser. When a person makes a shvuah on something that's not tangible, like sleep, it works. Because the shvuah is the gavra. It's the person making the shvuah on the sleep. He will not sleep. But you can't make a neder, I won't sleep, because sleep is not tangible. Because a neder is always on the chayf, it's on the object, and sleep is not an object. Now, if a neder didn't work at all, so then you have the question again. Where's shvuah more chomer than a neder? It's not even a neder. The answer is, because according to the second teretz that we said yesterday in Ravina, that it is a neder midrabanan. Remember, if a person is machmer himself, he does a mitzvah, you're not allowed to tell him, don't do it, like gebraks, whatever the examples are of. I brought you as an example of the good example, the real example is not eating meat during the 3 weeks, which is a chumrah that Ashkenazim took upon themselves that the Sfaradim didn't. 9 days. No, 9 days. Thank you. So midrabanan it does work. So that's why it's chaymer shvuas midarim. A shvuah works midaraisa. A neder only works midrabanan. Chaymer midarim shvuas keitzad. What's the case? Rav Kahana Masni. This is Daf Yomi Magid dream. Again, a few freebies here. Rav Kahana Masni. Omer Rav Gidol Omer Rav. He says it in the name of Rav. Rav Yomi Masni. Omer Rav Gidol Omer Shmuel. You know the famous Rav and Shmuel. He either heard it from Rav or heard it from Shmuel. That what? How do you know that you can't make a shvuah that he's not going to be mekayim a mitzvah? Tamaloymar lo yachal dvaroi, dvar lo yachal avomechalu lecheftzei shemayim. You can't break your word, but you have to break your word when it comes to a mitzvah. If you said that you're not going to be mekayim a mitzvah, you break your word. Says the Gemara, Ma'ishna neder l'chsiv ishki yidar neder lashem. When it comes here, so here's the pasuk: Ish ki-yidar neder lashem. So the word lashem is right in between yidar neder and ishav hashvuah. That's the Gemara's question in a second. But it says ki-yidar neder lashem. Okay. So therefore, says the Gemara, ish ki-yidar neder lashem lo yachal dvaroi. Even when it comes to Hashem, even when it comes to a mitzvah of Hashem, of tefillin, of sukkah, lo yachal dvara, you can't break your word. Shvonami yoksiv, o yishav hashvuah Hashem, lo yachal dvara. So that's why I put it up here, because it doesn't really say o yishav hashvuah Hashem. It says Lashem right before yishav hashvuah, but the point is the same. The word Lashem should also go on the following words of yishav hashvuah. So whatever you're saying for a neder should also apply to shvuah. So just like a neder, you cannot break your words when you made a neder not to put on tefillin. So you shouldn't break your words when you make a shvuah not to put on tefillin. Omar Abaye, ha domar no sukkah alai, ha domar shvuah shlo yehene min sukkah. When it comes to a neder, so the neder is always on a chayfetz. So that's what it means. Lashem. Comes to chayfetz, don't break that neder. Lashem. So the neder is going to be a good neder. But a shvuah is very different. The shvuah goes on the gavra. Again, we have this lashon of gavra chetz. It's not yeshivish lashon. It's the Gemara's lashon. When it comes to shvuah, it's on the chayfetz, on the gavra. And therefore, he can't be mekayim it. Amar Rava, v'chi mitzvahs lenes nitnu. So Rava agrees to Abaye, he just doesn't like the wording. Mitzvahs are not there for your benefit. So how could Hana have an effect over here? So because it was the Chazon Ish's yahrzeit yesterday, and I forgot to mention, I have to mention this. I love this Chazon Ish in the Igros. The Chazon Ish says that the greatest Hana, Gashmi's Hana in this world, the greatest Gashmi's Hana is learning Torah. It's not a ruchnis thing, it's a Gashmi's thing. And the Eglei Tal says there are some people that think that if you learn and you have enough from learning, it takes away from your lishma. So it says it's a mistake. That's exactly what learning is supposed to be. Learning is supposed to be geschmack. It's geschmack to do the daf. It's supposed to give geschmack. The ikir learning is to have ana from the learning, and therefore the learning will be embedded in your blood and your bones, he says. And since it's Rav Shach's yahrzeit, Rav Shach is once schmoozing with Reb Chaim Rudensky, and they what? Reb Chaim Oizer. He was schmoozing with Reb Chaim Oizer, and he was giving out, Reb Chaim Oizer was giving out money to Yisayim and Almanas. And he was done, and he told Rav Shach, he said, until now we're Isaac Ba'il Mabba. Let's sit down and be Isaac Ba'il Mazeh. And they took out Gemaras and they learned for a few hours. Because for them, mitzvahs in Torah, lehenis ninder, you could have a lot of anah from Torah. Elo Amarava. Ha da Amar Yeshiva Sukolai, he just fixes it a little bit. Ha da Amar Yeshiva Sukolai. Ha da Amar Shvush Yeshiva Sukkah. It's not anah, take out the word anah. He's saying, I won't benefit from the sukkah, or it's either I won't have it's the sukkah, we look at the chefts of the sukkah, or it's the gaver, it's me. I won't go into the sukkah, or I don't want that sukkah on me. Depends what it is. If you look at the object, you look at the sukkah as an object, you're being neither from the object, then it works. If you're neither your body from going into the sukkah, then it doesn't work. Okay, we can stop right over here. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.